Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LOCKSOTD podcast. This is episode 101. I'm here with Zach. We got some premium NHL locks, we got some premium college basketball locks, and we got some NBA locks. NHL season just got brought back from the Olympic break, so we're gonna fire off and start with those. Zach, kick him off with a two-star.
Yeah, so the two-star to start it off is going to be the Sharks money line at a minus 125. This is one of our season splitters. These teams play each other four times. Calgary's taken two out of three so far. Sharks are at home, game four. I think they're going to take this one tonight. The Sharks team has been pretty impressive at home, 14-9-3. Just before the Olympic break, they did kind of go on a little bit of a shitter, losing four in a row. But crazy enough to think that this team is competing for a playoff spot out west, even just after 1 year of being one of the worst teams in the league. So they've got a lot going for them. They've got very young, solid crew. Celebrini looks like he's going to be close to an 80 to 85 point guy.
It's
Um,
nasty.
yeah, and on top of that too, I mean, you put in Will Smith, you put in Askarov as their goalie. Like they got a lot of young guys who have really kind of overperformed. That I think it's going to be really good for them going into next year, especially if they are able to make the playoffs. And I mean, this team does average just over 3 goals a game. Yeah, they're giving up 3.5, but that's just going to come with the bumps and the bruises. And even though they're getting more goals against it than they are goals, they're still competing for a playoff spot. So, I mean, that kind of goes to show you that these guys will find a way to win. Calgary, on the other hand, pretty much just been a part of the Dustin Wolf effect, basically. I mean, at this point, Dustin Wolf, I mean, he's 16, 21, and 3 this season with 3 goals against average. And to put it frank with you, I mean, I feel like if without Dustin Wolf, this team would be one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, this guy's been solid all around with a 0.90 save percentage as well. And what's been a down year for him, I mean, has he's really kind of bailed out this Flames team. But I mean, this Flames team doesn't score a lot of goals. They're only scoring 2.5 and they're giving up three a game. They've struggled to score all year. I mean, especially being too when you look at their losses and even their last couple games too. They've lost 4-2, 4-1, 4-3. It's like they're giving up right around those 3 to 4 goals a game, but they can't score. And I think that's going to be the same can be said tonight. Is I think the Sharks are going to take this one probably 3-2, maybe 4-3 into that similar score. But the Sharks team has all the makings to be a playoff team, especially with the veterans that they've acquired as well. So I mean, I don't know. I do think the Sharks team will take the split tonight. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple, and we'll ride it. We'll go from there. We'll kick it to you for the three-star.
Yes, sir. I love that pick. My pick's gonna be Panthers money line at a minus 160. That'll be a three-star. They're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. Panthers home against the Leafs, who are coming off a back to this will be the back-to-back for the Leafs, and they've been played or they're gonna play two solid teams back-to-back. They played Lightning last night, and now they're gonna play the Panthers. But Panthers lost the first two games against the Leafs earlier this season, both 4-1 losses. Panthers struggled kind of early in the first half of the season. Only four games above 500. That's definitely not what the Stanley back-to-back Stanley Cup champions expected. But kind of see them coming off this Olympic break in playoff mode. They only got like 20-ish games left, a little over 20 games left. Bobrovsky hasn't had a normal year for him. His goals against is above a three. His save percentage is 0.87. His save percentage is usually not under nine, hasn't been under a nine in his career. And his goals against is usually like a 2.5. So he's just not having a year, a normal year. And he hasn't had Barkov. He hasn't had his 200-foot center that wins faceoffs, insane back checker, a guy that just literally does everything from offense to defense. He hasn't played all year. And same thing with Matthew Tkachuk. He's only played 10 games for the Panthers. To have a guy like that back, especially Tkachuk, does the dirty work, chases pucks, runs through people. The other team always knows where a guy like that is on the ice. He did have a good Olympic a little he did pretty well in the Olympic Games, racking up 5 assists and just running through people too. Expect him to make an impact in this Panthers win tonight. So no Barkov, but Kachuk should be back. So I'm gonna ride the Panthers here at a minus 160. They haven't won a game here against the Leafs. Leafs are on a back-to-back, so I'll lock in the Panthers with three stars. Um, you want to move over to college basketball now?
Yeah, I already got that pulled up, so that was perfect. But yes, our two-star for college basketball is going to be Memphis money line at a minus 120. playing at home against Wichita State. This is another season splitter in this one. They did lose to Wichita State already this season. Memphis has kind of had kind of a down year. They're 7-7 in conference, 12-15 overall. They put a very tough non-conference schedule, but Wichita State has turned some heads. 18-10 overall, 10-5 in conference. But one of the reasons why too, I'm looking at this game not just because of the season split, but because of the line in this one. Memphis is favored in this. And when I look at the last 5 games, Wichita State has won 4 of their last 5, and they've beaten some pretty good teams in it. They've beaten Tulsa, they've beaten Tulane, they got to win over Temple. Then you go over to Memphis, and Memphis has played some really good teams, and they've lost 4 in a row. They've lost to North Texas, they lost to South Florida, they lost to Utah State, who's going to be a tournament team. And even though they've lost 4 of their last 5 games, they're still the favorites in this one. Doesn't quite make too much sense that the team in Wichita State, who's the top team in the conference, who's won 4 or 5, goes to Memphis, who's playing a team who's lost 4 in a row, and Memphis is still the favorite. The line's not adding up, which tells me that I think Memphis is going to pull this upset tonight and really kind of steal one away from Wichita State. And I think a lot of that will have to do with Doug McDaniel. That's going to be the Michigan and K-State transfer. Do you mind? My goodness. Going to be the Michigan and K-State transfer. And for him personally, too, I think he's going to probably lead the way. I mean, he's averaging right around 13 points a game. He's been the bright spot of that team, and I honestly thought this Memphis team with Penny Hardaway as the coach was going to be ranked again. So once again, a pretty disappointing season for them. And then I also think too, Julius Thedford, one of their sophomores, sophomore guard, he's going to be solid next year when Doug McDaniel's gone. Another guy I think who's going to step up tonight, really make plays because they don't really have a true center on that team. So it's really just a bunch of guys who are 6'5", 6'6". But Memphis does really do well in the defensive category with blocks and steals. They're top 100 in both. And rebounding wise, defensive rebounding wise, they're very good at keeping teams to 1 possessions, keeping them at they ring just under the 100 mark for the threshold there. But they've done a great job with it. I do think Wichita State's big weakness is going to be pace of play in this one. They do a good job with scoring, but it's a lot of scoring off turnovers for Wichita State. They don't really set up. They don't really set up an offense. It's more so they get the ball, they run and go, they run and go. But their offensive actual setup is not very good. If they play a slow game, I think Memphis is really going to take this one to them. They're really going to have Memphis force turnovers if they want to go into Memphis tonight and get a win. But just looking at everything about this matchup, something seems fishy. So Memphis minus 120 on the money line is going to be the 2-star. We'll cook it to you for the 3-star.
Yeah, I got something a little similar too. I'm taking Western Kentucky minus 5.5 versus New Mexico. I'm gonna keep this one short. Western Kentucky's currently on a 4-game win streak. Their latest win is against Liberty, who's top of Conference USA. It's the second meeting between Western Kentucky and New Mexico State. First matchup, New Mexico State beat them by 16. Yeah, it was in New Mexico State. Hilltoppers, Western Kentucky just literally couldn't hit a basket. They were shooting 31% and 23% from three. I don't see that happening again with a split game here. And New Mexico State having to fly out all the way to Western Kentucky. This line just doesn't make sense. Why would a team that has beaten Western Kentucky be a plus 200? Like, why would Vegas offer that when they just beat them by 16? So that doesn't make sense. So that's why I'm going to ride with Western Kentucky at a minus 5.5 at a minus 110. That'll be a 3-star for college basketball, and then we'll finish it off with some NBA. What do you got,
Yeah.
Kim?
So for NBA, the 2-star is going to be Jazz plus 5 at a minus 115. This one's going to be interesting. I think these two teams, and the Jazz and the Pelicans, haven't matched up this season, but these are two teams that are in number one pick mode, tanking guys out, etc. So the Pelicans are going to be without Trey Murphy, and they're going to be without Yves Missy or Messi, whatever, however you want to call him. It looks like he's going to be out too. And it looks like the Jazz just have a slew of guys out. I mean, being from Jaren Jackson, who's now out for the season, Yusuf Nurkic is out for the season. One of their bench guys, Vince Williams, is out. And it looks like Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen are game time decisions. Um,
Marketing's, I think, done.
is he done?
I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah, they have him. Well, it is from 13 hours ago. But they have him as ankle hip is questionable. So
Yeah,
that's what
because
they
I had an
got.
update yesterday on my phone. Lori Marketing reported suffers ankle hip injury in practice, so I don't think he's playing.
So he's probably going to be out. We'll see about Keontae George as he is still questionable according to what it says. But even with those guys out, I don't see a massive difference. Just because these two teams are very competitive, even though they are in kind of tank mode. I think the Jazz really, with Isaiah Collier's kind of stepped up into his own as one of their true guards. LOCKSOTD legend, by the way, cashed our pick the other week. Him, I would say Kyle Filipowski's also kind of come onto his own. Um, I mean, he's done a great job. He came in as like the fourth string center, and I'm pretty sure all their guys have gone out because there's no Walker Kessler, there's no Yusuf Nurkic, there's no Lauri Markkanen now. Kyle Filipowski, you're the next man up, and he's done a great job. He dropped 22 in their last game against Memphis, even before they hit a double double against Portland, doing what he could. And I really do think these guys do have a good team. I think you got Ace Bailey in there, Bryce Sensabaugh. They have a young squad. And on the Pelicans side of things, it's very similar. We even with no Trey Murphy, if Zion does decide to suit up, they'll have Zion. Sadiq Bey has done a good job, but they still do have guys out like DeJounte Murray's still been out, and it's been a tough one for them. I mean, a lot of the other guys are just young. They have Jeremiah Fears, who's 19, coming off the bench. He's done a great job. Derek Queen's also 19, starting for them. But I just feel like in a game like this, I don't really care who's playing. This game is just going to be ultra competitive when you just look at all their stats compared to each other. Pretty much in points, the Jazz have them by a little bit. Points against the Pelicans have them by a little bit. But everything else, field goal percentage, rebounds, blocks, steals, assists, you name it, they're all within one or two of each other, which is why they basically have identical records. And you're going to give me on home court, you're going to give the Jazz 5 points. I'll lay the 5 points on the Jazz. I have no problem with that. I think it's going to be a competitive game and a high scoring game at that, too. The over is set at 242. I can see this game being 125, 121, 125, 122. Maybe a one possession game in favor of either team, but I don't see it breaking away that bad. I just see the Jazz keeping this one close, especially at home, and why we like them as the 2 star. So Jazz +5 -115 as a 2 star. We'll kick it to you for the three.
Love that. 3 star is going to be Magic money line +120 against the Rockets. Another season splitter here. Rockets took the first game in Houston. It was 117, 113. Pretty close game. Looking at that first game, though, ended in OT. Magic without Banchero or Suggs that game. They led the entire time and just had a bad fourth quarter where they only put up like 20 points. Uh, but Rockets were just all over the boards, grabbing 19 offensive rebounds and 41 in total. Not really a shocker, though. Rockets do lead the league in rebounding at 48.5 boards a game. But Magic will be with Banchero this time around. And he's been the Magic's guy since he's gotten there. This season, he's averaging 21.5 points and 8 boards. He's just been cooking the past couple games. And since being back from All-Star break, he's averaging 27, 9, and 7 assists. Also, I think Jalen Suggs might be back tonight, which is big defensively if he is back. He's just a pass on the ball, creates turnovers, and that's what the Rockets struggle in. They struggle in turnovers. They're towards the bottom of the league, averaging almost 15 a game. Magic also a home game tonight. They have a very solid home record of 17-9. On with this being a season splitter, Banchero and Suggs being back, I just think it's going to be an easy win for the Magic at a +120. So lock that in with 3 units. And what else you got, Ken? You got anything else?
Um, That's the thing. Just check those lines, get them going, and we go from there.
Yeah. Say some lines could change. You never know. Never know.
Mhm.
Never know. But that should do it for podcast 101. It's insane. Yeah, get those picks in, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.